Time to see if air-dry clay sticks to foam worth a damn. I'm wetting the surface of the foam, though I'm unsure if it's going to make much of a difference. It's not a very porous-looking surface, but that should help at least form some slight connection. I'm keeping it fairly simple, because it all might get undone as it dries. Anyways, Vox here, welcome to the dungeon. I'm trying to up the quality of my glory shots a little bit. I want to make a little topper for my tiny turntable, as well as a corner backdrop to maybe be able to use. Getting this all fairly smoothed out, but I'm not worried about being totally level. We're gonna try out a texture roller on this to make it all look like an old stone path or a wall or similar. I'm leaving one edge untreated, as we'll put some more waves there. Likely still of wine. I think this is some little scene upon the beach that occurred as the sea sprung into existence all of a sudden. So what used to be maybe a market causeway has now become a shoreline. Something I'm sure we'll all relate to more soon, barring the wine bit. I'm just dousing my texture roller in water and then quickly and softly rolling it on top of the air-dry clay. It seems to be mostly gripping the foam this way, only occasionally tearing away. I just re-smooth and re-texture any areas that get messed up. Make sure to clean your texture rollers after using them. Don't want them to get gummed up with clay of any sort. We're doing the toilet paper wave technique on a small scale here. Coat the area with watered down BVA, and then poke the paper on with a brush until it looks right, alternating with more strips of paper and glue as needed. Sorry, I'm not showing the foam carving again, as I do that out at the side to avoid fumes. I've affixed the foam together with some toothpicks for now. I want to see how well I can hide the join and unite them using the cheap air-dry clay again. Really want to see if this is a useful material. I know DOS clay is, but this stuff is a step below. It did take that roller pretty well, so here's hoping. Made some lines with my carver though, and I've decided to add a little line at the top of those. Maybe like pillars? I want a monument kind of feeling. Some parts more weathered than others as a consequence of crossfire in times past, magical or otherwise. Okay, so air-dry clay cracks a lot. This bad stuff, at least. There's ways to alleviate this, I hear, but I'm pretty okay with it. Just testing its limits. Some of the thinner details I tried just fell off. No big deal. We're using a bit of the old sculpt-a-mold-alike to add some more features and textures, whilst simultaneously patching and strengthening the construction. The cracking effect on that air-dry clay is pretty interesting, though. I'm looking forward to continuing to experiment with it. I think using it will allow my ground to feel naturally devastated by earthquakes and the like you can see here on the base. I think I'll be able to just flock around the cracks and it'll just look like nature reclaiming things. Perfect. Embracing material imperfections can really help if you let it. Gonna seal it up in the foam with some black paint and Mod Podge mix. We'll lazily do the same to the backdrop for the parts that I can easily get a first coat on. Thinking about adding some more texture though. We'll see. After fully sealing that, I decided I should lay some bricks, and as such, I am legally required to do a montage. But I'm a lazy video editor, not a photo taker. Not sure which would be less work, honestly, so we'll see how this is going. Let me know if you enjoy these things. I think it fits pretty well with all the melody editing I'm doing anyways. Decided to make both sides of this project useful for photos. This is literally just a texture wall. I think it'll be good. Simple technique here. Hard to beat. Percussion with a rock textured object. Rock does work. Foil crumpled up in this case though. This is, again, just an exploration in texture mainly. I'm gonna frame some things like some old medieval plaster house, and we'll get into more on that later. Also adding in my little three-eyed symbol again, maybe another after that even. Gotta have something that ties your work together. Now, I have some already assembled wooden bits. Sometimes I just relax and make them. I'm not always gonna film that, I think, because it would make it unfun. But this is all just the various forms of mini timber you'll see me use everywhere. If it's stick-shaped and wooden, it's liable to get turned into approximations of facades and barricades. Also, I didn't quite hit the minimum amount of bricks laying here to be legally required to do another montage. Good luck lobbying, though, if you're into that kind of thing. Just mix up the plaster of Paris, just like the directions say. Roughly, of course, it doesn't matter that much. And have a little pipette thing to help precisely apply the stuff. Make sure to clean up well after you're done so it doesn't get ruined, and just fill in all the space between the wooden frames. It's got a fair amount of surface tension, so the clear edges are actually not a huge deal. Just draw them right up to the edge and don't overfill too much. Now, I am trying not to be messy, but I'm still not too worried about it. Builders make mistakes all the time. Ain't got a single straight line in my house, that's for sure. Damn, was that a satisfying step to do. Think it's gonna be a little fragile, so I'm gonna go ahead and do a once over of it with the Mod Podge mix. Same with the foam side, of course. I'll definitely be doing more plaster pours there. There's something quite nice about the process there. I gotta explore that more. Little spray prime happened off camera outside, and we're good to start painting. Bringing in the gold asphaltum, mainly for convenience. We'll also still be using Prussian blue, purple lake, and transparent red earth. Lake for the shore, and the rest everywhere. The asphaltum goes to flavor areas. You know, just put a little blue in the brown, put a little green in the brown, put a little red in the brown. It all works out. Then we sponge it all away, which for this case mainly helped me see everything to get a better idea of what to do. Which was to more controlledly apply the colors once more, now that I had a good idea in my head. I went over the majority in the asphaltum again with a wash-like consistency to pick out details and shadow, with a few separated areas getting a similar wash of the Prussian blue and allowing the two to freely bleed into each other for color transitions. This, on top of the first layer, nicely muddy things, which some people avoid, but I enjoy being in the mud, paint-wise at least. Okay, and we'll just go over with the radiant turquoise on the waves and rock, and brilliant yellow pale over the ruined cobble. Nice and simple sponge work. And we've got the backdrop ready and primed white. I guess this is kind of zenithal-y in the setup. We're just gonna push out a bunch of little dots of paint to start this. We have Indian yellow, transparent red earth, and quinacridone violet at the ready for colors for one side. And we'll add the phthalo turquoise on the other. I start trying to use that weird sponge thing I've decided I do not like. It falls apart halfway through and I just abuse a flat brush and a few sponges for the rest. Always fun to go wild with colors like this. They all mix so nicely. The turquoise is a little new for this application, but I'm enjoying the greens coming out of it. I'll have to test the purple sometime else. After that initial color onslaught, I started loading up with mineral spirits and making sure that every surface has some paint. Don't want anything uncovered, although if there is, I can fix it later, no problem. Don't worry while painting, it'll all come together. That's my experience at least. Okay, this should be pretty quick. I'm going to use asphaltum and Perlin black, which is green, and just put a few dots right onto the wall. Plenty of odorless thinner is needed to get it to spread and seep into the crevices. Can't Help Loving That Man by Jerome Kern and Oscar Hammerstein II. What a name.
Hammerstein is...
He's got a Roman numeral in his name. It implies.
God damn. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Then we'll see what sponges are doing and figure out exactly how the sponge wants to be used. It'll depend a bit on the firmness you're using. Just experiment. Not like that first step took very long, so you can just reapply if needed. Then, once most of the excess is taken away, load up with a firmer sponge with brilliant yellow pale and do the highlighter. Lost a touch of footage here, or didn't remember to hit the record button before painting. One of the two, but we have transparent earth red and quinacridone violet at play here on the plaster pots, loosely. Then I go over the wooden beams and details with asphaltum before wiping away with the sponge. Afterwards, I'll blend things roughly together with a brush and put a few squirts of pure odorless spirits onto the plaster as it creates a cool effect. Just watch. I'm mixing some colored sawdust with matte Mod Podge into a paste. Gonna slather this all over either side of the texture backdrop to kind of unify it. Doesn't look anything like it'll dry, I think. I hope. But even if it does, this is acrylic based at heart. I know Mod Podge is a little different, but it still dries similarly. Maybe takes a little longer, but I'll be able to just slather some more oil paints on top if this looks bad. It looks fine. So fine, I'm gonna double down and mix up some pink flower patches to paint on. And now it's time to tie this back in where it's a bit too bright with a nice light wash of asphaltum. Again, thin down to the point that this will flow downwards in nice streaks. And let's finish this thing off with a whole bunch of dusting. I'm jumping all up and down the schedule here, pulling and pushing, colors warm and cold, whatever needs to be done for interest. Dusts really unite terrain, I think. That blue I pull out on the wall side is damn strong, but you can just dust it off, or blend more of a brown in to desaturate it. The oils on this are all pretty much dry at this point, by the way. Been moving pretty slowly lately, so this and the next project, if you can see it in the background, have taken a little while. Gotten a few layers, so to say, but I enjoy working on them. So even if I slow down, there should be more on the way. Hopefully we'll be slowing down due to fishing more than disability here soon, though that may well reinvigorate my creative juices even as it takes my time. Being outside does that. That should do it, by the by. Not too shabby if I do say so myself. It's very satisfying to look at, so I achieved my goal. And the topper ain't half bad either. These angled texture walls though, think I'm gonna make more of this. It'd be fun to take some pictures or video using a collection of them. It's a weird thing to make, so probably not too many people will be interested, but for those that are, I hope you'll enjoy them. I'm Vox, and thanks for watching. If you liked it, please do, and similar. If you'd like to see more strange color choices, please subscribe. I have a lot of fun doing this, and I hope it comes through. Enjoy the music on the way out, and have a good day. It is so satisfying to touch these. I'm sorry, you can't experience that unless you make it yourself.